All right, let's take a look at the Nasdaq, a much deeper look. So going back on this chart, at least gives a 90. Here is the yearly. So the yearly.com, of course, that was one of the worst times in history. See yearly, 3 red candles, went sideways. Then you had a financial crisis. Started to come up after 2010. And then off it went, kept going until you had basically the Ukraine-Russia war. We came up again, and that's where we're at. See from 2010 the crossover. So this was a big crossover 2010 all the way to 2015. Then we stayed to high, this overbought level where we're at. Let's take a look at the quarterly. So the dot-com bubble was one of the worst, in history, basically. And for the Nasdaq, so this was up near 6,000. Let me see. Actually, no, 4,000 and then change, 5,200. After this went down, it went sideways for a long time. Look at this. Sideways. Went up slightly, but it didn't break out till 2010, start to go up. So that is, you're talking 10 years it did nothing. That's amazing. Then we started to go up slowly. Look at this. Very controlled, small candles. Financial credit crisis ended, was it 2018? You had COVID, and then you took off. You came back. Russia-Ukraine war. Another lift off to where we're at now. Now we're pulling back, and you have a crossover. So this is breaking down from 80. Once you cross there, it hasn't really done that since 2000, 10, 11, it came out, and the financial crisis. You can see here. So it's been staying above there. It did have that little move down here, 2020, the COVID year, and then 2022. Of course, that was one of the worst years ever. So we'll see where that goes. The monthly chart. Now you look at the high point too. Remember I always said high points. It was the highest in history. You cross all the way up. You don't want to buy at the highest point in history. That was the highest line. You have the lowest line is way down here, about 6,000 to 8,000. You have another one, 10,000. You have a cross up from COVID. This crosses up to 15,000, but about 13,000. And I have like a middle line, sort of like, call it 12 to 13,000. Now, will this cross flow to 17? It looks like it at this point. And then where do you go here? Do you go into this 2022 level? You're talking 15, 16,000. That would be the early move, and then we'd see what happens. Now, when you're crossing this deep, the turn on the monthly is going to be very fast. So I think we're going to blow 50, and that's an important level, the over-under 50 line right here. If you go below, it's done that before, 2022, 2018, .com. Look at this, financial crisis. And then, it's hard to say exactly where we're going to go from here because it's just too wild, the market, and Trump tweeting and his tariffs and all that stuff. But you see here from the weekly chart. So we're up high here, December, came down, the high is getting lower. You almost have a crossover here, meaning like it looks like this move wants to end and we get a bounce, but this could easily not work and go further down. So we'll have to watch that in the weekly. Here's the trend line from 2023 late, and then it goes all the way up to basically where we go now. You can put a line, this wick, and we can fall below that easy. All right, the daily chart in this, you can see this back and forth mess. December, January, February, we finally gave way. Come down March, and we bounce, small little bounce, and then we go down again on this wick. The low was 16,854, and you're bouncing here, but it's short-lived, so we're at, right here is where we're at now, 17,601. Now, you did have a move up, and you tried to cross over, but, after hours messed everything up. So we'll see how this opens, where we begin. And you have all these lines here. Look at this. You went through all these 1, 2, 3, 4, all these inner lines. Now we're at another outer line. After that, you don't have a line till you have this middle crossover, like I said, and here. That would put it like 13, 14,000. I'm not sure we're going that low. This is forming a wedge. Usually a wedge, you'll come out of it, but it could easily come out and have a big bounce, and then we get down further again. That's like one scenario. You get like that. So we'll have to watch this. Tomorrow will be very important to see what happens. If we just totally flush out, go down huge, or we get a bounce from this. We'll have to see on the Nasdaq. So, going through all these lines, See what happens Thursday. We got Friday. But that is the Nasdaq. And, right now it sounds 668 in the futures. All right, that's it. Please subscribe to Mike Heyman Trades on YouTube. Smash the like button. Mike J Trades on X. Mike Heyman Trades on Instagram, TikTok. I'm on Rumble, Threads, everything. Check it out.